Brother. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Brand Builder TV, where we want to share with you how to brand and market in 2020, not 2004. Big difference in the evolution over the last 10 to 12 years. And if you, at the end of the day, the bottom line here, the evolution train is leaving with or without you. The question is, are you getting on, or is it going to run you over? I'm excited for this episode. My big Steve, he's going to give us that 30,000-foot view of who he is, where he came from, where he's at, and where he sees himself going. We're going to chunk that down. I've known Steve now probably for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. He's just got the entrepreneurial spirit, the drive, the determination, and as you can see, we have a lot in common. We go to the same barber, and we feel the same way overall about life. And as you can see, our branding is very similar. I'm a big fan of, I believe, Steve, that everyone, especially men, but every human being should strive to be a good pit bull. Drive, determination, indomitable spirit, dead game, and a heart as big as their head. So take it away, big man. Introduce yourself and give us that 30,000-foot view.
What's up, Dave? Thanks for having me on. So my name is Steve Eckert. I'm from New York, have a gym here in New York, which I'm at right now. And I go back between New York and California. Started the gym about 10, 11 years ago. Been doing personal training for 20 years overall. Opened up a gym. It's been for about 10 years. Recently, just about 7, 8 months ago, moved out to California and been doing a lot of business coaching and personal development coaching for entrepreneurs, for business owners and for their teams. So now I also travel all around the country and train teams on a lot of what I learned in the Marine Corps, which when I was in the Marine Corps, obviously before I started the business. So travel all around the country and train the business owners, train their teams on leadership, communication, teamwork, problem solving, all the skills and traits I learned in the Marine Corps that I incorporated in my own business to make my own business successful. Because if you think about it, all companies, all business, the business world works like the military. There's a structure, there's a rank structure, you have standard operating procedures. Everything works the same way that in successful businesses as we did in the Marine Corps. So we take all that Marine Corps, and I have a Navy SEAL partner, and we instill that into the teams of companies that want their team to be more successful.
Love it, man. First of all, thank you for your service. And secondly, I've had 2 of your business partners on, Bedros Koulian, and then also Ray Cashcare, right? Crazy Ray, man. I love it. I love his energy, man. He brings it. He brings the heat. Love his intensity. What I love to talk about on here is really the evolution train that we've actually been a part of and witnessed in the last 12 years, because there's really nothing like it, man. If you look back in history, there's really nothing like this evolution in the digital world, right? And I always say, if that evolution train is either going to run you over or you're going to jump on. So, and I want to share some of the bits, get a little deeper into some of the businesses and what you provide. But let's talk about branding in 2020 versus 2004. Give us some of your views on that and what you share with your clients.
Well, when it comes to branding, I think the cool word nowadays is being authentic, authenticity. Everyone says it, but then you see on Instagram and all these other places, that's exactly the fucking opposite of what you're seeing. They're all a bunch of frauds, a bunch of bullshitters. They're not living the lifestyle. They're going to rent a fancy car for an Instagram video, and the motherfuckers broke living in their basement with cheese doodle stains on their t-shirt. So everyone preaches authenticity. So what's going to stand out is and people could smell a fraud from a mile away, right? So they know when you're full of shit and when you're not. Because those people on Instagram, they show like their life is so perfect. They have all the answers to everyone's problems, and anyone who says that is full of shit. Anyone who can help you answer all your problems in 5-10 minutes and charge you for it is a fraud. So we all fuck up. I fuck up every day. I make bad decisions every single day, and I have no problem sharing that and talking about any one of those. But that's who I am, and I'm going to go out there. I'm going to be raw. I'm going to be real, and whether you like it or not, I have a saying that says, some people will hate, but most can relate, because that's what it is. This is the real world. So, for instance, in our gym, we have core values in the beginning in our gym. Our number one core value is bring the fucking fire every second of every second. So right when someone walks into our business, and it's all of our website, all of our social media, they see that. It literally says, bring the fucking fire every second of every second. If someone got offended by that, it's perfect. I'm going to repel the people who aren't going to be a good fit for our gym, but we're going to attract the freaks like us that are going to be a lifetime customer. And so that's the same way we do it with the team training. Is it's going to be straightforward. We're going to call up I'm going to have an interview with the high-end CEO, and when I'm speaking to him, I'm going to talk to him the way we would talk to him in the military, the way he needs to be talked to, the way no one else in the world is going to fucking talk to him because they're all afraid of him, and tell him, listen, you're being a dickhead and you need to change the way you're doing things. That's why you're not getting the job done. That's why your team doesn't respect you. That's why they're not performing the way you want to perform. You're claiming, oh, they're just stupid millennials. They're all this and that. You're blaming all of your team. You need to look at yourself, and it's you. And it's all about how they show themselves, how they brand themselves, how they brand the company, and they're going out there bullshitting, and it's all just smoke screens. So authenticity, I think, is the key word, but it's so far removed from social media nowadays. Nothing on social media is authentic anymore. That's why it's awesome to be on a show like this, like you, Dave, who's just straightforward, fucking raw and real, and it shows. It shows because I know you personally, and that's how you do everything in your life is this way. So I think that's what branding has come down to. The ones that are going to stand out are going to be the ones where you could see it's the true authenticity, not the bullshit fakers and posers on Instagram.
Love that, man. And let's go deeper with that. So here's one of my quotes is your vulnerability becomes your credibility, right? And I think so many people miss that where when I get introduced to step on stage, my intro to the event planners is Dave Daly, the Monster Motivator, built and sold 3 companies in 3 different industries, but also crashed one to the ground, went through a bankruptcy, got back up, wiped himself off, and figured out how to move on. And the reason I make sure that I highlight that is because there's not a university in this world that could have taught me what I learned in that window of time when I crashed that business to the ground, had to figure out how to bite down on the mouthpiece, get back up, wipe myself off, and keep moving forward and learn from that, right? So I believe that's where my real value comes in for anybody that I can help, is that time that I crashed that to the ground, not the ones that I built and sold. And I think so many people are so terrified of that. And speak on that, man. How important being vulnerable and real and relating when it comes to not only your business, but as a leader, right? As leadership, because, I was with one of your business partners who I consider one of the best leaders around, Pedro Julian, right? He walks the walk as you do. So talk about vulnerability and how that, I believe it's your superpower.
Well, yeah, definitely makes sense. I have another, when we interview I interview some of these high-end CEOs to come and train their teams. It's the same thing, and the reason why a lot of them are the way they are, and they're not really leading the way they should lead, is because a lot of them have had this easy life, and it's crazy. The easier I've come to notice, the easier that your childhood was, the less fucked up your childhood was. Guess what? The harder your adult life is. It sounds so weird because you're not used to it. You didn't learn how to fucking survive, how to fight for your own, how to get the shit kicked out of you and come back even stronger and better and use that as a lesson. So the easier the beginning of life is, the harder it is at the end. So almost everyone that I know that's had a lot of success in the business world usually came from a fucked up childhood or some kind of fucked up family, fucked up parents, fucked up father. And I hear it all the time. Like in these interviews, I'm constantly interviewing both for our leadership and teamwork training and also for the project, which is a little more intense program for the business owner themselves, like an individual program. In interviewing them, you're hearing that the ones that are more fucked up are the ones that a lot of them had this easy childhood because they just had this silver spoon, and now they go out into the real world and they're fucked up. So being vulnerable, those ones that had the fucked up childhood, that come out and say, you know what, this is me, this is what I've been through, and now this is how I've overcome it. Those are the ones that are going to be successful because they're able to use that weakness, use that fucked upness as a superpower, rather than the other ones that are not successful are the ones that had a fucked up childhood and now let that define the rest of their life and use that as an excuse. Let's say you have a crackhead that's a mother that's a crackhead. Now you can become older and use that as an excuse to become a crackhead, or you can flip the fucking switch in your head and use that as an excuse to not become a crackhead because you see exactly what it's like. And that's that's how I am with my father. When I was a kid growing up, literally I lived in my house until I think I moved out when I was 19 years old when I left the Marine Corps. And in 19 years of living in a house with my parents are still married. I never had one single conversation with my father, never had a catch with my father ever, never sat on the floor and played with him, nothing. It was just like I was a ghost, didn't exist. So I could take that and look at that and say, okay, now that I have kids, and I could just use that as an excuse to be lazy and be a shitty father to my kids, or I could say, you know what? I want to be nothing like that motherfucker. So I'm gonna do everything the exact opposite. I'm gonna break the cycle that's in our family tree because his father was the same way. I'm sure the ancestors go all the way back. I'm gonna be the one to break the cycle. I'm gonna be the stubborn one to break the cycle. And the only way to break the cycle is to first come out and talk about it, just like we are right now. Like my best friend was the side of the house, a wall where I would play a 9-inning baseball game, throwing a fucking baseball, a tennis ball against the side of the house by myself for hours because I had no friends. My father wouldn't go and play with me. He was out drinking, gambling, doing whatever the fuck else. So I see it as the ones that are successful are the ones that had a fucked up past and they've gotten over it. Guess what? They grew up and realized they're not a little fucking boy anymore. So I could sit here and talk about this, no problem, and even laugh about it nowadays. The ones that can't get past that are the ones that are not vulnerable. They try and cover it up. They try and act like everything's great. And they're just really fucked up in their head. They're grown-ups living with a mind and emotions of a little boy. It's time to put on the fucking big boy pants, talk about your shit, get over it, do it. If you have to go to therapy, whatever, or just coming out, like my therapy literally with all this was, I one day just decided, you know what? I'm just going to start talking about this every fucking week on a live show. I'm just going to hit live Facebook and just start talking about this shit. And that helped me get it over and actually use it as a superpower to now show that showed me exactly how to be the greatest fucking father around. And that's what I try to be every day. And I spend more time with my kids than anyone I know. And I'm crazy busy with several different businesses working on, traveling all the time. And I spend more time with my kids than pretty much anyone I know in the world.
I love that, man. And let me throw this in there with what you said. If anybody questions what you just said, always go back to nature, right? The mama bird knows that the baby bird has to figure out how to chip its way through the shell in order to become strong enough to survive in the world, right? The mama bird can help that baby bird anytime it wants to get out of that shell, but it knows naturally it has to watch its child, its baby, whatever you want to call it, figure out how to fight through that shell so it can become strong enough to take on the real world environment. And we're no different, right, as human beings. And I not to pair off into the personal world, but I also believe that what you're talking about is, I think a lot of parents want to protect and put this bubble wrap around their kids, and they don't realize that they're creating handicapped kids, right? Now they're going to have to dig out of that hole because they haven't had those dings. They haven't had that armor banged up, rusty, and have to figure out how to keep moving forward through that armor. And they come out with this real beautiful shiny armor, but it's just a facade, right? It's that smoke and mirrors. So I love that, how it's a trickle down effect into your business world if you allow it. I'm a big fan of it's either your heaviest anchor or your strongest propeller. You got to figure that out and decide, man. I love that. So talk about the project, man. What is that? When did you launch that? And why did you launch that?
We're actually starting the project. It's for men. It's an individual thing just for men, not for the teams like I was talking about before. We're now about to start class 004, which starts in just a couple weeks here in March. And basically it's there's 5 instructors here. And like I just said about my childhood, every one of them has fucked up childhoods and realized that's what men nowadays just have in common is fucked up childhoods, making them fucked up adults, nowhere to turn. So what we've done is create a project where we're actually going to break down, so just picture this. Someone gets the chance to live, learn, and train with a United States Marine, a Navy SEAL, a SWAT operator, an MMA expert, and an entrepreneur, empire builder, Pedro Schoolian. All 5 of us locked in there, just pouring decades of knowledge, experience, expertise into them for that full 75-hour experience. And it's helping them to dominate in their life, in their family. We call it the F-bombs: family, fitness, finances, and faith. And faith, we don't necessarily mean religion. It means faith in themselves, faith in their belief that they can get shit done. They can make shit happen. Faith that they can get that little fucking child out of their head. And that's what most men are going through. And that's who we're attracting in. And again, all this that we're talking about, it sounds like we're just talking about, okay, childhood, poor me, boo-hoo. This is all marketing. This is all marketing. Again, authenticity is marketing. So real authenticity is being vulnerable, because you're going to attract the people who need you, the people who need your message, the people who need your motivation, your style of delivery, and what you have to offer. So all this ties together into the business world. This is business. Yourself and your childhood and whatever you had to take your fucking lumps. You need to take your beatings. Again, you were saying build that armor. So your armor should be dented and scratched and holes and fucked up. And that's going to make it just stronger. It's just going to rebuild, and it's going to make you almost bulletproof and impenetrable after what you've been through. So all this ties back into marketing.
Love
but
that,
yeah, the
man.
project is an awesome experience. We're pretty much breaking down men and building them back up in a short amount of time to help them. We call it killing the inner bitch and unleashing the fucking beast in them.
I love that, man. And you used a word that I love to use. It's bulletproof, right? It's that bulletproof self-image, right? You can build it up, you can tear it down, but you cannot outperform it. And you guys are actually doing in a weekend time frame, like you said, the structure of what the Marines have to tear you down in order to build you up, right? You have the Navy SEALs have to tear you down in order to build you up into what they consider a Navy SEAL, to what they consider a Marine, right? To what they consider an Army Ranger or a successful entrepreneur, right? Because it's all the same thing. You're going to war, man. When you're an entrepreneur, you better understand you're putting that war paint on. There's shit storms coming at you, man. And there's times where you have to cover up, and there's times you get to come out and swing, right? And you have to understand when and how to do that. So I love that. And so how many classes have you had so far with the project?
We're going into the fourth class right now.
Okay.
And we have them scheduled out and already filling up some throughout the rest of the year. Throughout 2020 is all booked out, and so this is the fourth one coming up right now.
Awesome, man. What are some of the feedback you're getting? What's some of the testimonials you're getting when you get done this? Because I know they're part of a family.
It's a brotherhood. It's what's lacking out there in just the world and in the business world. You're out there struggling alone. You're suffering in silence. You're the business owner. You're grinding. While you're doing that, you're putting all that ahead of everything else. Your relationships are falling apart. Your wife hates you. Your kids think you're a loser, even though you're successful and busting your ass and working. So then shit starts spiraling downhill. You make some bad decisions, whatever else. So the feedback we're getting is, of course, from the graduates themselves, who we say we're forging them into modern day knights. Of course, from them, but we're getting even greater feedback from their families, getting handwritten letters from their wives about I don't know what you did, but you sent back not even a better version of this man, but a whole new fucking man. And that's what I've been waiting for. And that's what he needed. He needed this for the longest time. And it's a process. It's not like it's just everything is cured automatically, but we're breaking it down, giving the foundation, helping them get that self-awareness of where they're being fucked up in their life so that they can, again, it's in family, fitness, finances, and the faith. And of course, it's going to help your finances. You're becoming a better leader, a better communicator. And that also is going to help out in your family. The better your family life is, the better your business life is going to be. All this shit ties together. That's what people don't think. They think when it comes, they just need to, of course, you need to know marketing and sales, lead generation, but you can have all that stuff perfected. If you don't have your own shit together in your own head, you're not taking care of yourself physically, you're not taking care of your family, you don't have the right, building the right relationships and nurturing those relationships, that business is going to fucking crumble. It's going to have no foundation. You're not going to be able to survive the long game. You're not going to have the endurance or the team to survive. That's why we do the project with the owners, and then we do the LTD, which is a leadership and team development for their team. So we're trying to cover all bases, because then we do the project with a business owner, entrepreneur, manager, whatever, CEO. Then they go back to their business. Now they have a worse relationship with their team because they're thinking all this attention to detail, this leadership, they're learning how to communicate, and no one's on the same page then. So then they have Ray and I come fly across the country, and we actually go and train their teams a little less violently. Pretty much think of the project as fucking quadruple X and the LTD as like PG-13, fully customizable. So we go and train their teams on leadership, communication, problem solving, teamwork, so that now we bridge the gap between the CEO, the manager, the business owner, and their team, so they can be firing on all cylinders and just working like a cohesive unit, a well-oiled profit machine. That's what it comes down to, is they need to be profitable. We know all this stuff ties into business. We could talk about all this other stuff, but the business needs to be profitable, right? That's what it has to come down to. And all this stuff ties into it. Your relationships, how well are they doing at home? Because we know people drag their baggage from their personal life into the business, whether it's the business owner, your employees. So helping them out with their relationships with their family absolutely will help the bottom line and help your profits when you hit it from all the different angles that we're talking about.
Love that, man. So two things that jump out at me with the project that I love is, number one, once they become part of the Brotherhood, they always are part of the Brotherhood. So that means who you surround yourself with, you become, right? So it never ends. It's always evolving if you keep growing with that Brotherhood. And secondly, what I love about what I'm hearing about the Brotherhood and what I've read about it is you're creating strong leaders to create more leaders. And that's what I think people have to understand and go deeper on this is what you're doing when you work with the group, after you work with that CEO, you just created a very powerful, strong leader, which in return needs to create more leaders underneath them. And I think that's where a lot of CEOs might fall down because they're afraid that, hey, if I create more leaders, they're going to go away, or they're going to leave me, or they're going to become my competition. And that's coming from that fear-based mentality. And there's not a leader in this world that can lead effectively in a fear-based mentality. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, to me, that's what a leader is. I call it RMM, role model mindset. Like everything that someone that thinks they're a leader does throughout the day. A leader is not getting, of course it is getting other people to accomplish a mission accomplishment, and help you accomplish a mission you can't do by yourself. That is a part of leadership, but that is just a very lower tier level. The real measure of leadership is, were you able to develop other leaders so that when you're dead and gone, your legacy and what you've built is still going on, and the connections you made. And same thing with that Brotherhood. It's creating more leaders. So now we're taking those men from the project, those CEOs from the leadership and team training, they're going back into their communities, and now they're spreading it. It's like it's spreading, and we're trying to make this fucked up planet that's spinning, we're trying to make it spin just a little bit better by creating more leaders. That's absolutely what the number one way to gauge leadership is. Are you creating other leaders? And in order to do that, first you obviously have to be a good follower. You have to realize you need to have mentors and coaching in order to be a good leader. But are you creating more leaders? And I think about it even with my kids. That's how I operate my kids. That role model mindset in everything I'm doing. I'm in the fucking grocery store just picking some stuff up. I'm thinking I want to be a role model to this humanity, to the civilians around me, because that's maybe the one little thing they could see about the discipline I have, or the energy I have, or the confidence, or the way I'm taking action, or the way I'm just being my fucking freak self. That will leave a little stamp on them, a little imprint on them, so they can go lead better in their families, in their businesses. And even if I don't need to know about it, I don't need the recognition, I don't need the fucking credit. If I could just make that tiny little impact, even on a fucking stranger, and then obviously on the people you lead in your business is important, the other clients you have as business owners, if you're doing business, and then ultimately my kids and my son, because I need to make him be the leader of the future. So that's, I call it the role model mindset. It's just nonstop being a role model in all your actions, everything you're doing. Doesn't matter who you're in front of, who's listening, whether you know the person or not, whether you're going to make money off it, not in business, fucking everywhere, even a stranger. Otherwise, it goes all the way back to that marketing. You're just a fucking fraud. You're on Instagram flashing a bunch of shit you don't have, some money that you took out of the bank and you put right fucking back in. Like it's all again, goes back to that authenticity, true authenticity, real, raw authenticity.
Real smoke and mirrors. We got to jump into this real quick because this is you're going to share real world feedback. So I had the opportunities. I've been around your son a few times, right, with the meetings at Bedros's location, and you just share with us your upbringing, right? Share with the audience, because this is real world shit. Share with the audience the age you were at your son's age now, and the difference in the upbringing, but more importantly, the difference in your son's outlook on life and personality versus yours at the same age.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize. I forgot that you actually even mentioned he was there. Yeah, I was running.
Yeah, man, he's got a personality that's bigger than life, right? And that just doesn't happen by accident, right? That happens because you and your wife are building a bulletproof self-image. That's the greatest gift that any human can, or any adult can give any child, whether it's your child or not. So this is real world shit, right? You at his age, him at his age, what's the biggest differences?
Well, and I tell him that all the time. Things that he does, I'll see him do something, or I'll ask him to do something. He'll go and do it, and I'll tell him right afterwards. I'll be like, when I was your age, I wouldn't have done that for $1 million fucking dollars. I wouldn't have done it. So we had this workshop. Bedros and I were running, and you wouldn't think that you can bring at the time, I think he was only 7. You wouldn't think you could bring a 7-year-old kid with you to sit there through an 8-hour workshop that you're running. Like, you're running the workshop. You're not just participating. You're actually running it, having to speak and present. And 2 full days. And he wanted to come with me on the trip. That was when I was still in New York. He wanted to come with me to the trip to California. I said, it'll be awesome. Just a guy's trip. We went together. He had his own table set up in the back of the room. He was handing out some, I think, bracelets or something at one of them. He's come to me several of them. Sometimes he did handwritten thank you cards one time for all the participants. I don't know if that was one you were at, thanking everyone, the people that came in, thanking them for coming. When they came in, he's shaking their hand, looking them in the eyes, welcoming them, showing them where to sit, getting their name tags. I wouldn't have even, and then in between, sitting there throughout the day for hours at a time on his own, keeping himself occupied, reading and doing some stuff in the back, not disturbed me, not one single time, knew where the bathroom was, able to go on his own. I couldn't even compare it. Like, if it was me at that age first, I just wouldn't have went. I just would have said, no, I don't want to go and do it. Hell no, I'm not going there. I wouldn't have introduced myself to not one single person. He does shit nowadays, like, before I even get a chance to, like at a restaurant, if his food is not right, he'll say, excuse me, and he'll say it. And I'll have my food sitting there still to this day, and it's a little off, and I just like keep my mouth shut, and I see him do it. I'm like, wow, I'm a little fucking bitch. Like, I'm learning from him. He's like 10 times better than me, even at this age he is. So when I was 8, forget it. I wouldn't look anyone in the eyes, wouldn't have shaken anyone's hand. But I learned that that's not the way to do it. So I had to change it because I was never taught. So I learned by what I wasn't taught, how to show him the right way. The shit he does is ridiculous. He goes to jiu-jitsu now, and he asks sometimes to roll with the bigger kids because he just wants a challenge. And there's times he'll get a fucking mud hole stomped in his ass. He doesn't get tapped out too often, but when he goes to the bigger kids, they'll catch him. They'll tap him out. And you know what? If it was me, first of all, I never show up to jiu-jitsu. I would have been too afraid. I'd make excuses beforehand. I would have said, thinking about, okay, I could just say that I have a twisted ankle. I would have done it. I would have been a little bitch, even at his age, doing it. He goes in there, asks to go with the bigger kids. So let's say that was me and I did it. I wouldn't ask to go with the bigger kids. I would try to find the weakest, smallest kid because I was too afraid I'm going to look stupid and get made fun of or something. Weakness and fear. He has to go with the bigger kids, and he'll just be going at it like a pit bull. That's why we have a pit bull. His name is actually the same name as this dog. This dog's name was Tyson, and my son's name is Tyson because we're just fucking weird like that, and that's what we do. We give him the same name. So he'll get tapped out by this bigger kid, and guess what? He'll slap his hand on the floor. He'll jump back up, give the guy a fist bump, say, "Nice job. Let's go again. We're going again." And he'll just keep going. To me, if I would have had the balls, which I wouldn't have, to even show up to jiu-jitsu class, if I would have had the balls, which I wouldn't have, to even go against a bigger kid, once I got tapped out, I would have went in a corner, I would have left, and probably never shown back up to that place again. This little kid, he fucking jumps back up, and I'm watching him do it. I'm like, this kid's he's a fucking savage, and I'm proud. And I tell him afterwards, I'm like, if that was me, I would have went in the corner, and never would have came back. I said, I'm proud of you. I give him a fist bump, a hug, and I tell him, you're fucking awesome. I tell him all the time, you're fucking awesome. He can't say that. He says, I'm freaking awesome, but I'll tell him you're fucking awesome. Because I say it all the time. I told him one time, you're fucking awesome. And he's like, thanks, Dad. And then he asks me, where'd you learn that from? Who told you were freaking awesome? I realized no one ever did. So I make it a thing now to tell someone 100 different people a day that they're fucking awesome. And I tell them all the time that I'm like, Tyson, you're fucking awesome because I would not do anything you're doing. Even as an adult, some things he does more out there and more outgoing. And that was one of my setbacks in business, in life and in business, because it all goes together. Again, everything we're talking about absolutely relates to my business, to marketing, to the growth, to sales, to relationship building, all relates into the business 100%. And I had zero relationship building skills, zero social skills in my childhood, and realized that was what was holding me back. All that fear and lack of social skills and ability that was holding me back, and I needed to break out of that shell. I needed to flip it, and he's already doing it. He does shit that still as an adult I'm fucking afraid to do. So
I love that's the gold nugget, man. That's what I was looking for, because that's the real shit. And the reason I even brought that up is because I witnessed it, right? I witnessed it. So it made an impact on me, his personality and and look, make no mistake, right? It's all about our conditioning, right? But it could have been your biggest anchor, or you figured out how to make it your strongest propeller, and then share that with your son so he's not digging out of that hole on self-image. Love that, man. I want to be respectful of your time.
I'm good. I got as much time as need.
Love the we definitely connect with the pit bull, and we shared this before we even went on. You know, like at the end of the day, a good pit bull really embodies what any human should strive to be, right? Drive, determination, indomitable spirit, dead game, and heart as big as their head. So I love that, and you know,
and they're just loyal. They're just loyal, like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, we got cut off there for a second.
Yeah.
Sorry. The people, the loyalty of the people, right? And the goal striving. They're goal striving. They're never worried about themselves ever. Like you said, yours took down a boar. Tyson, our dog, was not even. He was a pit bull boxer mix, not even as big as like those pit bulls that you have. And he saw a deer. He freaking ran down, slammed a deer up against a fence one time. This little, because they're just they're not worried about themselves. They're loyal. They're there to protect. They're there to serve. And even their jaws, their lock jaws, right? They think of a goal. They will lock onto that goal, like literally and figuratively, until they achieve it. And they will not let go for anything. And they're just disciplined. They're complete discipline. My dog would be able to walk without a leash, and I could just talk to him. And if need be, he could be your best friend or your worst enemy. That's what we say in the United States Marine, is your best friend or your worst enemy. I could literally make a sound in my voice and he could be a killer. Or I can make a sound in my voice and he'll freaking jump all over you and lick you and kiss you. And that's why we have this as our logo, because that's what it's all about. That loyalty, that ferocity, that goal striving, locking on to some shit and not fucking letting go for anything, no matter what happens to you. I don't care what's going on. You're not letting go until you get what you want, what you need, and what you fucking deserve.
That's it, man. Show up every day as a pit bull, and you're guaranteed to fucking win and dominate your world. I love that, man. Hey, first of all, I know you have a lot of balls in the air, so I want to thank you for taking the time, man. Seriously. And I know we had to figure out our schedule, so thanks for hanging in there with me. Thanks for jumping on, sharing this real world wisdom, man. That's really what it's about. Because everything else, man, theory, just leave it on the fucking shelf. It gets in the way. I want the real shit. I want the people that's been there, done it, and are currently doing it. So that's why I'm having you and your business partners on, and I love it, man. Anything that I can do, definitely reach out, my man. And I'm looking forward to watching the project and your other stuff just grow, expand, and really make a difference, man. So thanks again. Thanks again for jumping on, big man.
Awesome. Thanks. And thanks. I want to thank you just for being one of the few real, authentic, and just straight raw men out there that don't no bullshit, not worried about what people are going to think about you or how they're going to react to you. They might not like what I say. Who gives a fuck? Those aren't your people. That's fine. There's someone else for them. There's fucking Tony Robbins or someone else that's going to like have them jump around and do cartwheels and high fives and stuff, whatever. But so I just want to tell you, I appreciate the way you are, the way you operate, what you stand for, what you're about. I love it.
Man, thank you, my brother. And we will catch you on the next episode.
All right, awesome. Thanks a lot. No excuses.
And you're fucking awesome.
You are fucking awesome.